Gentlemen, our national anthem, the Star Spangled Banner.
All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another night of Fligger Farm TV. On the pole here tonight, as we're here from Auto Club Speedway, we're here with the Freedom Motorsport Alliance. And if you've been following the Freedom Motorsport Alliance for the beginning of the season, you'll know that we've been running the Next Gen Cup cars. Well, over the last week, some of us league admins and others weren't quite really excited about the car counts, and they seem to have been dropping off a little bit here and there, so we're switching things up. We're going to keep it going with the Cup schedule. Just this time, we are moving cars. We're switching the cars, and we're going over to the Gen 4s. So Gen 4 Cup cars is what we're now going to be running in the FMA Fligger Farm TV Cup Series as we get set here tonight. 10 drivers made the grid. We get set here to go. Your grid tonight is going to be Stoney Benfield out there in front, Austin Hunt in second, Ryan Peters third, Mark Nelson fourth, Graham Connolly fifth, Bobby Watts there in sixth, Chase Matsko seventh, Robert Milbrat there in eighth with Joseph Spillman there in ninth, and Robert Ballard there in 10th. All right, as we get rolling here, I noticed our date was wrong. Oh, I'm making it now later than what it's supposed to be. There we go. There we go. Now we got the date fixed. As we get rolling out here, you can see that Valvoline-inspired 15 machine driven by Austin Hunt. Up there on the top side, down there on the inside, that's the 75 there, or rather 21 of Tony Benfield. Mark Nelson up there on the outside in that 86 with Brian Peters there in the bottom side. Now we get set here to roll. Should be a fun night. 60 laps of distance here at Auto Club. Great looking bunch of cars out there.
Green flag, green flag.
Green flag is out. They're down and away. Down the front stretch they go as they head down there in the corner number 1. There you see that 5 machine of Ryan Peters down there along that white line as they try to get rolling here with that 21 there of Stoney Benfield now out to the lead with that number 75 machine, 21 on the scoreboard. Austin Hahn there in second in that 15 machine. There's Ryan Peters down there on the inside. Mark Nelson's trying to get a great run up there on the outside. There comes Graham Connolly in that 5th position, moving up there. 3 wide there coming into turn number 4 with Stoney Benfield there stuck in the middle lane. They get through that okay. Mark Nelson up there on the top side. Now he's going to go end up 3 wide with Graham Connolly in the middle as they come here out of 4, finishing lap number 1. As you got that Dr. Pepper machine there of Chase Matsko rolling along there in 7th. Robert Milbrath there in 8th. Joseph Spillman 9th. Robert Ballard back there in 10th as it stands right now as they come rolling along. Hey, come on down. Oh, well, I got to see if I can catch that one. Now, it looks like, no, that's Bobby Watson of 37 Ninja Turtles machine here tonight. He runs down there on the bottom side in that Ford Fusion. I see that. We got that Chevy Impala out there. I thought I saw a Ford Taurus out there as well, up there towards the front, trying to figure out who that was driving. I think that's Austin Hunt. Yeah, Austin Hunt's out there in that Ford Taurus. We got the Ryan Peters back here in the Chevrolet. Rolling down there onto the bottom side, coming off the corner. Everybody heading down the backstretch right now. Everybody single file. There you see Chase Matsko getting a few spots there. Gained as he gets up there in the 4th. Mark Nelson has crashed. So problems there for Nelson. We'll see what happened there. As it looks like he got loose and ended up down there along the inside of the raceway. No caution as of right now. As it looks like he does just that. Gets loose. And no. Graham Connolly got loose up against that outside wall. Comes down and slaps Mark Nelson down there at the inside wall. They both end up bringing it to a stop before they hit that inside wall. It's a great job there. Now they both get back underway. No caution out as now everybody comes there across the line. Hey, Mark Nelson down there on the inside. Here they are up front, still battling. Austin Hunt up there on the top side. Ryan Peters down there on the inside. Stoney Benfield there in 3rd. Chase Matsko back here leading the 2nd pack ahead of Bobby Watts. And also that 45 of Robert Milbrath as they roll down here in the corner number 1. Everybody single file for the time being here at Auto Club as the battle. Whoa, hang on to it there, Stoney Benfield. Gave a little bit of ice skating there. It looked like coming through the corners in that Ford Fusion. Down that backstretch. As they come around here off at 3 and 4. Working on down through. Looks like Austin Hunt out there in front. Stoney Benfield there in 3rd. Chase Matsko back here in 4th. Running that Dodge. With Bobby Watts back here in 5th. Robert Milbrath at 6th. Joseph Spillman 7th with Graham Connolly back here in 8th. Now we see that run there by that 75 of Stoney Benfield up there on that top side, getting a great run, but at what cost to the tires as they roll down the backstretch here. Down there on the inside is Ryan Peters. Chase Matsko still rolling back here in 4th, as everybody's still waiting on as we got them all switching positions up here in the top 3. And they roll here off of turn number 4, back out onto that front straightaway. Great moves so far tonight. As you see there, now Austin Hunt back to 3rd with Ryan Peters now in 2nd. Stoney Benfield now leads the race as we're on board here with him. Coming down through off of the corner. Ryan Peters in 2nd. I see him up there moving up behind Stoney Benfield. Austin Hunt there in 3rd. Chase Matsko 4th. Bobby Watts in 5th. Robert Milbrath there in 6th. There's the 50 of Joseph Spillman as he's trying to find just something where he feels comfortable this season. It looks like he's feeling pretty comfortable out there right now as he's down there on the inside. Hang on to it there, Milbrath. As Milbrath went for a little bit of a skid coming there out of turn number 4. Coming down across the start-finish line right now here on lap number 8. Man, these laps tick away slowly here tonight, as I thought we already did quite a few, but these cars are a little slower, I think, than what the modern-day next-gen cars are. That or this track's just bigger than what I remember it being. I don't know. Now they head on down here. Take a look here at the race info for tonight. We got it 87%, or 87 degrees Fahrenheit for your track temp. Your ambient temperature is 67 degrees, 58% humidity with cloudy skies, 5-mile-an-hour winds. As they head on down through here, Hun still sitting in third. As Chase Matsko's there in fourth, and that Dr. Pepper, number 26. They roll down here in the corner number 1. There you see that front pack of 3 drivers as Matsko's rolling down through off the corner. Hey, Ryan Peters in the corner. Here comes Austin Hahn. Chase Matsko there in fourth. Hey, Joseph Spillman back here in 6th. Robert Milbrath there in 7th. Graham Connolly back here in 8th. Mark Nelson back here in 9th. Robert Ballard down there on pit road. Ballard having some issues. Not sure what happened there as he jumped to the pits. Tony Benfield up there on the top side. Ryan Peters there in 2nd. Austin Hund. Down here out of corner number 4, down across the stripe. Stoney Benfield out there in front. Austin Hahn there in 2nd. Brian Peters in 3rd as they rolling on down through. There you see Chase Matsko's following back a little bit now. In 6th, Bobby Watt leads the 2nd pack. Joseph Spillman there in 5th. Chase Matsko there in 6th. Brian Peters in 2nd. They roll on down the backstretch. Bobby Watts there in 4th. They roll down here. Looking really good here as everybody rolls on through.
All right, man. Caution is out. Caution is out.
All right, caution is out for the first time tonight. As we'll see what brought this out. Looks like Milbrath somehow. Take a look here. Milbrath, oh boy, what'd he do? We wind it here as looks like he got loose there behind Chase. It just kicks out on him. Right there, he tries to catch it. And it gets wobbly, and all of a sudden it just kicks, and he can't get. Oh, man, what a hit to that inside wall. Blowing that motor on impact. Tough break there for Milbrath. Oh, under caution, we're going to get them all lined up here. Get them set to go once again. All right, yeah, as everything's getting lined up there. Man, what a tough night for some of these drivers, as we saw there. Problems for Milbrath. Everybody trying to get lined up here after that caution came out. Here at lap number 17. Milbrath getting fixed up back out on track with a new motor. Ryan Peters there in fourth. Lights are out. We're getting ready to go back. Green flag racing. Green flag's out. They're down and away. Here we go. Into corner number one. With the 75 of Stony Benfield out front. Followed up by Austin Hahn, Ryan Peters, Bobby Watts there in fourth. Mark Nelson, Chase Matsko falling back clear in the pack of the pack here in sixth. or I'm sorry, no, 9th. Flip that number upside down. And on down through off of the corner, down here in the corner number 3. 15 of Austin Hunt there in second. Ryan Peters third. Mark Nelson there fourth. Graham Connolly back here in sixth. Bobby Watts in fifth. They come here off the corner. Looks like Chase Matz goes down there on the inside. Going to try to get something gathered up there as they roll on down through the front stretch here. He's going underneath the Spillman. Spillman's up there on the top side of the racetrack. Milbrath down there in 7th right now as he's trying to gain some positions after going and having some issues there earlier on in the race. Oh, hang on to it. That's the 32 there. Yeah, that's the 32 of Ballard having some issues skating on down through that track. Sliding on down out of Lakeside, Arizona. I work here out of the corner. Oh, and he gets into the back of the 45 coming out of the corner. Getting real loose there for Ballard. And he's got some damage to the right front of that machine as well. Ryan Peters there in second. Benfield out front. Mark Nelson back here third. Bobby Watts in fourth. Austin Hunt fifth. Graham Connolly there sixth. Chase Matsko seventh as they roll on down through off the back stretch. Heading into corner number 3 and 4.
Adam.
Yeah. What?
Just had an emergency.
What?
Somebody did go by the window just a minute ago.
Huh?
You heard me.
Who?
I don't know who.
Well, I can't do nothing about it right now.
Get your phone working. Phone's going to voicemail.
Shouldn't be.
It is. Get it looked at. Keep that phone available.
Try calling it again, because it's right here in front of me.
It's been going to voicemail the last hour.
I'll restart it. All right, down here into the corner. Benfield's out there in front. Brian Peters there in second. Austin Hunt there third. Mark Nelson back there in fourth. Bobby Watts in fifth. Mark Nelson battles beside Hunt, trying to get that third spot as he's on the outside of Hunt right now. Working down here through the backstretch into corner number 3 here at lap number 22 as we work here out through 3 and 4. Hunt now gets that spot away from him down there on the inside. Up here towards the lead is Ryan Peters trying to battle him. Benfield, that is Ryan Peters. Austin Hunt back here in third and battling there with Mark Nelson. Bobby Watts there in the 37, gaining on Mark Nelson. Here comes Graham Connolly. Chase Matsko back here in that 26 machine, trying to find a little bit of speed out of that machine as he rolls down there out of 2 down that backstretch. Milbrath getting around Spillman. Graham Connolly back there in 6th. Bobby Watts in 5th. As we're looking for the battles out here on the racetrack, nobody really close enough to make any difference at the moment. They come on down through here. Off the corner. Peters there in second. Hunt there third. Mark Nelson there fourth. Bobby Watts. Now he gets up there in the fourth as he goes around Nelson down there on the inside, bringing that Ninja Turtles 37 up in the 4th place. As they come there out of corner number 2, down that backstretch they go now. Nelson now gets back on the bottom side. He's going to make the pass on Bobby Watts down here in the corner number 3. Ryan Peters out front, trying to chase down Stoney Benfield for first place. Austin Hunt sitting there in 3rd. Mark Nelson 4th. Graham Connolly back here in 6th as they are trying to catch drivers. There you see Chase Matsko back here in 7th. Graham Connolly back here in 8th. Going down through here. Up on that high side is the Benfield out front. Ryan Peters there in second. Austin Hahn in third. Nelson there in fourth. Bobby Watts in fifth. Graham Connolly sixth. They are spread out all over the racetrack. Connolly now goes to the outside. He's going to see if he can get around Watts on the outside. Watts got around Nelson a little bit ago, but has fallen back once again here. So Nelson holds on to fourth, but Graham Connolly now looks to the inside of Watts as they come down the backstretch into corner number 3. Working here down on that inside lane. Connolly gets around him. Chase Matsko up to 7th as they come out of turn number 3 down that back front stretch, sorry. Spellman back here in 8th. Ballard, I think, has called it done. So we're down to 9 cars. Nope. Okay, Ballard's in the pits. Struggling here this evening. Benfield's out front. Peters there second. Austin Hahn there third. Mark Nelson fourth. Graham Connolly here in fifth. Bobby Watson sixth. Chase Matsko back there in 7th. They roll on down here out of the corner. Great runs by everybody so far. Up the corner, down that backstretch. You're watching that 5 gain on Benfield. Now Peters now down to the inside. They come here through turn 3. Back out on that front stretch. Milbrath having issues again as he's crashed once again. Take another quick look here at it as we come here off the corner. As you see him up there against the outside wall, getting into it. Ends up getting a little loose. And around he goes once again. Skating on down there towards that inside wall. Keeps it off of that inside wall. He already gone through one motor. As Benfield's out front. Matsko making the pass on Bobby Watts. Moving himself up there in the 6th. Bobby Watts falls back to 7th. Joseph Spillman back here at 8th. Here's Graham Connolly, up there in 5th. Now he's trying to get up there to Mark Nelson, who's currently running there in 4th. Austin Hahn in 3rd. Ryan Peters back there on the bottom side. He's trying to battle for the lead against Benfield. As we're over halfway done with the race down here through the backstretch. Stoney Benfield out front, still leading the race. They work here down through turn 3 and 4. Ryan Peters there in 2nd. Austin Hahn there 3rd. Mark Nelson back here for it. Graham Connolly 5th. Chase Matsko back here in 6th with Bobby Watts in 7th. Joseph Spillman in 8th. Down here through off of the corner. Here we go. There you see that 5 of Ryan Peters, Stoney Benfield out there in front. Ryan Peters there in second. He now takes a dive to the bottom. He's getting around Stoney Benfield this time as he rolls there off of turn number 4, heading back out onto that front stretch. But no, here comes Benfield back up there on the high side to try to recapture that as Peters will fall back in line for the moment. As they work down here off the corner. Austin Hunt there in third. Mark Nelson there in fourth. Graham Connolly there fifth. Chase Matsko in sixth with Bobby Watts in seventh. As we roll down the backstretch once again. Benfield out front. Here comes Ryan Peters once again to the inside. Coming down here into corner number 3. Gets that little bit of an edge on the bottom. Coming there through the bottom of turn 3 and 4. Cannot quite stick it enough. As Benfield now comes rolling back on the high side. Peters does not have enough down there on the inside. He's still side by side as they roll down here into corner number 1. Can he get something to stick this time here in corner number 1 as he goes down there to the bottom side once again, bringing that impella up there towards the front of the track. Down there on the inside, Peters trying to battle Benfield but cannot quite get that pass completed. As Benfield now pulls slightly ahead, coming there off the corner, and he does pull ahead. Peters dropped back in line, coming here through turns 3 and 4. Here comes Austin Hunt now down below Peters as they come here through turn 3 and 4. 26 laps to go here at Auto Club for the Gen 4s of the Freedom Motorsport Alliance Racing League here tonight. And they come on down through on that bottom side. Stoney Benfield up there at the top. Ryan Peters there in second. Austin Hunt there third. Mark Nelson there fourth. Graham Connolly there in fifth. Stoney Benfield out front. Ryan Peters there in second. Austin Hunt there third. Now they keep on rolling down through here. There you see Austin Hunt up there in second. Ryan Peters there in third. As they roll on down here, keeping everything rolling. Ryan Peters there in third. Austin Hunt there in second. As they reach down here into the next corner of 75 of Stoney Benfield. Trying to hang on to that lead. This time, though, Austin Hunt gets a great run. Here comes Stoney Benfield as he's going to lose a spot now, maybe 2, as Ryan Peters is down there on the inside. 24 laps to go. 3 wide now going into corner number 1. Here comes Peters down there on the inside, going to try to make a 2 for 1 as he comes there off of the corner. Gets ahead of Austin Hunt, slides up a little bit. Here comes Austin Hunt back, making the crossover. Back down there on the inside, back onto the backstretch. Hang on to it there, Nelson, as you did a nice slide coming there off of turn number 2. Austin Hunt disappearing for a moment. Here comes Ryan Peters now up there in the 5. He's going way up there towards that outside wall. Going to see if he can make it outside lane work now as they come here off the corner. And down here through off the front stretch. Austin Hunt down there along the bottom side of the racetrack. Benfield up there at the top side. Everybody's got great tight racing going on up here at the front. A little farther back, Graham Connolly, Chase Matsko, Bobby Watts, all just racing around trying to just hang on to positions as it stands right now. As you see, Graham Connolly up there on the top side of the racetrack. Mark Nelson there in fourth. Stoney Benfield and Hunt and Peters all still battling it out for that lead spot as Hunt now takes over second. Peters in third as it stands right now as you're on board now with Brian Peters coming down there through turn 3 and 4 back around to the front stretch. He's going to try to bring it on down and get beside Austin Hunt as they come here off the corner. He nudges a little bit ahead down here across the stripe as they head on down into corner number 1. Peters now disappeared for a moment as he gets up there into second. Up there against that outside wall, going to try to make that outside lane stick. He's got company down there on the inside in the name of Austin Hunt. Whoa, Peters getting a little loose coming there off the corner. Hunt there in second. Peters back here in third. And they roll here in the corner number 3 and 4. Mark Nelson back here in fourth. As Connolly's closing in on him. Driver's doing a great job here. 22 laps to go. Leaders making it to pit road. Stoney Benfield, Ryan Peters, Chase Matsko, all coming into pit road. Bobby Watts also coming in along with Joseph Spillman. Austin Hunt, Mark Nelson, and Graham Connolly staying out as they come around here. 21 laps to go. As Austin Hunt now leads the race with Mark Nelson there in second, Graham Connolly third down the backstretch. And they all come storming down here in the corner number 3 and 4. Mark Nelson there in second, Graham Connolly there third. Bringing it on down, there you see Austin Hunt coming off the corner. Mark Nelson there second, Graham Connolly third. As they roll down here, Mark Nelson and Graham Connolly coming to pit road. Austin Hunt taking yet another lap. Going to put some of these drivers a lap down as they come to 20 to go. Austin Hunt out front now as Mark Nelson comes there on the pit road. Stoney Benfield coming off. Ryan Peters there second coming off. Here comes Chase Matsko. He's in third position coming off. Austin Hunt is leading the race right now down that backstretch. Everybody else has made pit stops or is currently making pit stops as Mark Nelson and Graham Connolly come in right now. Austin Hunt out front. Great job here by these drivers. They work on down here out of corner number 4. Looks like Hunt's going to come and pit this time as they roll on down through here. Great job through the night so far. Austin Hunt out there as your leader, but here comes Ryan Peters and Stoney Benfield. Austin Peters gets around Stoney Benfield now as they come down through that front stretch. Austin Hunt still your leader as they come down here to get around Mark Nelson and Graham Connolly. Here comes Chase Matsko around as well as he works there off the corner. Slowing up a little bit. Letting those guys come up off of pit road. As Chase comes here in the corner number 3 and 4. As Stoney Benfield's out there in third. Graham Connolly there in fourth. Mark Nelson there in fifth. 19 laps to go. Austin Hunt continues to lead it here. He works here out of corner number 2. The lead pack's coming for him here with the likes of Ryan Peters and Stoney Benfield as they work down the backstretch. Austin Hunt making great time there, staying on the lead lap, gets back out there in third position now. And I'll move him back up there in the second place. He works there to the inside. Benfield does not quite have the momentum yet. They come there out of turn 4. Connolly back in the fourth now as Austin Hunt comes out of the pits. Ryan Peters up here in first. Benfield there second, Hunt there third. Those three have been battling it out all race long. Here comes Chase Matsko in that number 26, sitting in 6th. Bobby Watts there in 7th. Joseph Billman back here in 9th. Robert Milbrath back in the back. Same with Robert Ballard. As Milbrath and Ballard have both called it enough. Hauled it to the trailer. 18 laps to go. They come here rolling off the corner. Stoney Benfield up there second. Austin Hunt in third. Fourth, Graham Connolly. Mark Nelson fifth. Chase Matsko sixth. What a great run so far as they roll here off of turn number 2. $17 laps to go. Graham Connolly there fourth. Mark Nelson there fifth. Chase Matsko sixth. Rolling up. There you see Graham Connolly there in fourth. Mark Nelson there fifth. Chase Matsko back here in 6th. Bobby Watts in 7th. Joseph Spillman back here in 8th. As they all keep rolling off here down into the corner. Stoney Benfield, Austin Hunt. See Benfield up there towards a little bit higher on the racetrack than what Austin Hunt is running. As everybody's making their way down the backstretch. There you see Austin Hunt right there in third, looking to the inside. As you got Austin Hunt now warming up. Okay, stay off of Benfield. Now they come there out of turn number 4 down that front stretch. Austin Hunt still sitting back here third. It's kind of interesting seeing the paint makers, the livery makers, really go to town when making these paints, especially for the Gen 4 cars, as we see different models out there. You see there's the Ford Taurus out there with Stony Benfield. Austin Hunt has a Ford Fusion. Ryan Peters running a Chevy Impala. Graham Connolly out there in Impala. You got Mark Nelson out there in Impala. Chase Batsko running a Dodge, coming down there onto the bottom of the apron. Looks like he's coming to pit lane here with 14 laps to go. Bobby Watts down there on the inside. He's got a Ford Fusion as well for the Ninja Turtles. Ryan Peters up there in front. Austin Hunt there second. Tony Benfield back to third as Hunt made a move and got around him. $13 laps to go here at Freedom Motorsport Alliance Racing League and FFTv, bringing it to you here with On the Pole. Down that backstretch there, you see Austin Hunt there in second. Stony Benfield there third. Ryan Peters up there in front, but he's got company coming from that Ford Taurus of Austin Hunt as he goes down there to the inside. That 15, honestly, it reminds me of the Valvoline car that Mark Martin drove. I know there was others that drove it as well, but that's the first name that comes to my mind. First was a 6, then was a 10. I believe, if I'm thinking correctly. Down here out of the corner. Stony Benfield out there in third. Graham Connolly back there in fourth. Mark Nelson in fifth. Joseph Spillman back here in sixth. As they come down through the backstretch, Austin Hunt there in second. Tony Benfield there third. Graham Connolly fourth. Mark Nelson fifth. Down here in the turn number 3, there's Joseph Spillman as they work there. Hunt now to the inside of Peters as they roll down through here. 12 laps, now 11 laps to go. They roll back down into corner number 1. Everybody having a great race so far. They roll on down, having a great time here. Just trying to make something happen up there towards the front. Getting them leaders to battle it out. Now on the backstretch, 10 laps to go. Hunt now out front as he got around to 5. Peters working on down through here in the corner number 4. Up there on the outside. Down there on the inside comes Peters once again. Going to try to get up there. Cannot quite do so yet. Stony Benfield there third. Graham Connolly there fourth. Mark Nelson there fifth. Here comes Austin Hunt down here in the corner number 1 and 2. 9 laps to go for Austin Hunt and the pack as they roll here off of corner number 2. As Chase Matz goes down there on the pits. Struggling here at Auto Club tonight. Austin Hunt out front. Ryan Peters up there into that outside wall. That's not going to do him much good as here comes Stony Benfield. Hang on to it there, Peters. You don't want to be going that far down to the apron. Unless you're meaning to go into the pits, but I don't think that was quite the plan. Graham Connolly is here in fourth. Mark Nelson there in fifth. Spillman there in sixth. Bobby Watts in seventh. Coming on down here out of the corner. Peters back out front. Hunt has disappeared on the racetrack for a moment. But now he's back, running out there in front. Here comes Ryan Peters. He's got company from Benfield. Benfield now goes below him. Wonder if Peters may have burnt some of his tires up there trying to keep the lead or trying to stay with Austin Hunn as he's falling into the grasp of Ryan Peters. Stoney Benfield. And we're going down through the backstretch. All right, getting a little warm here in the boots. Hopefully you can hear me over top of the pit. We head on down through out of the tri-oval down here in the corner number 1. Austin Hunn still leads the race. Ryan Peters hangs on to second as Tony Benfield ends up getting it slid around that corner, doing a little bit of drifting as they work here off of the corner. Down that backstretch, Ryan Peters there second. Graham Connolly back here fourth. Mark Nelson falls back there in the fifth behind him. Down here through turn 3 and 4, Joseph Spillman there in sixth. Austin Hunn sitting there in front in the lead. 5 laps to go for the Cup Series here tonight with Ryan Peters there second. Stoney Benfield there in third. Graham Connolly there fourth. Mark Nelson back here in fifth. Joseph Spillman there sixth. Bobby Watts in seventh as they roll on down through here. Austin Hunn back here in the lead as they roll on down out of corner number 2. Down that backstretch. Ryan Peters rolling away out there in front. Austin Hunn there in front with Ryan Peters trying to chase him down there in second. And he got around Benfield. Benfield, like I said, I think he might have burnt some of his stuff up. Or was it, yeah, I think it was Benfield that I was talking about. Burning some of his stuff up, trying to stay with Austin Hunn as Peters gets around him down there on the inside as he's now making a run down there, trying to get up there to Austin Hunn, but I just don't think it's going to happen. And that Valvoline machine's looks really great out there. Great race car going on as they're skating around here through APA 2. Back down that front, or backstretch, Graham Connolly there in fourth, Mark Nelson fifth, Joseph Spillman back here in sixth, Bobby Watts in seventh with that Ninja Turtles machine. You got Matsko sitting down there in the pits. 4 laps to go. 3 laps, and they come to the line right about now. 3 laps to go for the Cup Series. Ryan Peters, they're battling beside Graham Connolly now. As Graham Connolly gets down there below, here comes Mark Nelson. He's going to be up there as well. So I definitely think Tony Benfield definitely worn his tires out trying to stay up there in the top. Here comes Mark Nelson getting a decent run here. He's getting to the outside of Connolly. Coming down that backstretch. Who's it going to be here as they work down here in the corner number 3 and 4. Mark Nelson back down there to the inside, following behind Graham Connolly. Stoney Benfield up there on the outside, trying to hang on to it. Look out, Graham Connolly skating around there, had to back out of it. That's going to lose some ground there for him as they get the momentum coming there off of the corner. Nelson now gets to the outside of Graham Connolly as they work down here in the corner number 1 and 2. 2 laps to go. Mark Nelson trying to get that prime spot over top of Graham Connolly as Connolly's rolling down there on the bottom side. Here comes Nelson as he's getting up there behind the 75 of Benfield. Connolly had to back off. Here comes Nelson now back down there to the inside underneath Benfield. As they work there off of turn 4. What a great pass there by Nelson as he gets himself up there in the 3rd spot. Coming here to the white flag. Austin Hunn comes across. Final lap. Ryan Peters there in 2nd. Mark Nelson there in 3rd. Stoney Benfield down there now on the inside. Going to try to chase down Mark Nelson. Does so. Gets back to his bumper. Down here in the corner number 3 and 4. Graham Connolly up there against that outside wall. He's going to see if he can get around Stoney Benfield to bring himself up there in the 4th. Benfield doing a little bit of skating again, coming there off the corner. He's going to fall back into 5th. Graham Connolly up a position there to 4th as Mark Nelson's there in 3rd. Looking in his rearview mirror. I wonder if he's getting nervous there about Graham Connolly at all. Last corner here coming off. Austin Hunn's going to be your winner. He comes there across the line. Ryan Peters going to come across in 2nd. As Mark Nelson's here in 3rd as it stands right now. coming across the line. He will indeed take third as everybody else comes there across the finish line. All right, just waiting on post-race results. Everybody comes in. Austin Hahn's going to be your winner here tonight. Ryan Peters there second. Mark Nelson there third. Graham Connolly fourth. Stoney Benfield there fifth. Joseph Spillman there sixth with Bobby Watson seventh. Chase Matsko eighth. Robert Milbrath there in ninth. Robert Ballard there in 10th. It's a great run by these drivers here tonight. Let's see if we can get with our finishers here. As we get with Mark Nelson. Good evening, Nelson. How's it going?
That's going all right. How are you, Adam?
Well, it's going well here. How'd that car feel those last few laps?
Yeah, it was pretty loose, but I was gaining on people, so I took it as a good thing.
Yeah, we noticed it kind of freed up there towards the end. A few drivers were struggling there, trying to keep it under them. How important were tires tonight?
Well, I think it was important because it seemed to me like there were cars that were kind of comers and goers, and I seemed to be a going, so, or not a going, a coming, I don't know, but the one that's gaining on people at the end of the run, whatever that one is.
Yeah, you were coming up through the field. So you had a great night.
Yeah, I had good tire wear at the end. Unfortunately, there at the beginning, I got kind of bamboozled and it put me behind quite a bit, and so I had to. Restarted sixth there, which was fine. At least I got a caution, but I actually didn't use my fast repair because I was just being kind of greedy and didn't want to use it yet. So that might have hurt me for the first long run there.
We had a great race here tonight. Only a couple cautions. I think there were maybe 2 or 3. So not too terrible. I mean, especially for it being a non-points race. So pretty much a learning curve for people to learn the new car tonight as we switch over from the next gen to the Gen 4 for the season. What's your thoughts on the move?
I don't really care one way or the other. I like the Gen 7 car plenty. This one's fine. I'm just not used to it, and I'm really not sure what its tricks are. I knew what the other ones were, so if I'm going to be fast in it, I'm going to have to experiment a little bit, because right now I'm just kind of a little average.
Well, it seemed like you were finding some tricks and some speed out there. You got sponsors and shout-outs you want to give here for helping you get in that third-place podium?
Yeah, just thanks to everyone that supports you and me, and thanks to my wife for her support, and thanks to Naughty Dog for making The Last of Us a great game and TV show.
Alrighty, well, we look forward to seeing you in more races to come.
Sounds good. Thanks, Adam.
All right, have a great night there, Mark.
You too.
All right, have Mark Nelson. Now we'll get with Ryan Peters. Good evening here, Ryan. How's it going?
Good. How was the race up there for you?
It got a little drawn out because you guys got single file there quite a bit, but I mean, there was still some great racing going up there between the top 3 of you drivers trying to make it through the field there, between Hunt, you, and Benfield. I think Benfield might have burned his stuff up a little bit.
Yeah. Stoney's a good Gen 4 guy. I raced with him in other leagues, so I'm glad that he was able to jump in here with us. And Austin, like they said, is the tire whisperer, so it's what kind of lead can you build before he catches up to you, and one lap later pitting, fresher tires, and be able to say like he did. That was it. But it was fun up there.
Yeah, you guys still gave it a battle, and it was fun to watch. And what's your thoughts on the Gen 4 going forward?
Gen 4's fun, man. I mean, it's obviously, like, whatever the next gen car is, the Gen 4 says I don't want anything to do with it. So it's just completely different driving style, and I think, like you said, you might get a little bit more spread out racing, but I hope what's portrayed is how hard it is to run these cars consistently. I mean, it's a battle. I mean, keep it off the wall. So, I mean, it's a blast, and I hope that shows up on the broadcast.
Well, it definitely was showing up. I mean, if we can get some of the guys running similar lap times, they definitely could stay together.
Yeah, I mean, before that first tire run, I mean, me, Stoney, and Austin were 3 wide, you know, for like 2 or 3 laps there right before we decided to pit, me and Stoney. So, I mean, you'll get some of that, especially if we get, 20 people in here. It'll be chaos everywhere. Maybe not a front runner, but you'll definitely have action throughout the field.
Well, and that's what we're hoping to get here. So hopefully those that are watching are going to come in, let people know that, hey, FMA's got this great Gen 4 league going, and we'll see where we go from here. I mean, it was definitely fun to watch. You got sponsors or shout-outs you want to give here for helping you get into second place?
Yeah, I just want to again thank the league, thank Chase, thank you for doing everything that you do, and I'm going to be doing my own to get some Gen 4 guys in here and get some other great drivers. It's a great group of people, and it's only going to continue to get better, and the more consistent we get people like Stoney in, you got people running it like you guys, it's going to get better, and we're going to do what we can to continue that.
Alrighty, well, you have yourself a great night, and we'll see you in future races.
Yes, sir. God bless.
All right, that was Ryan Peters, our second place winner. Now we're going down here to Victory Lane. Good evening, Austin. How's Victory Lane feel tonight?
It's pretty good. Keep it playing.
I mean, it probably could feel better if it was a points race, right?
Yeah.
But
It's still fun, though.
well, yeah, it's still great to go out there and have fun, and it was from what I'm understanding, it was a good learning experience for the switch of the car.
Yeah, it's the first time I ever raced that car.
I don't think the others might want to hear that. Hearing that was the first time you've raced it.
Yeah, it's the first time I've actually raced those cars there. But they're a handful, but you just got to be smooth and steady, and they'll treat you right.
Well, and that's what we've seen you do. You were able to keep that smooth and keep it running good, and got yourself out to a decent lead and never really looked back after the pit stop.
Yeah, I was worried about pitting 2 laps after everybody else did. I thought I was going to get left in the dust once I got fresh tires, but it worked out.
It most certainly did work out. I mean, you come out of the pits third and then had to race up there towards the front, but you were able to save them tires. Unlike the others, it seemed, as we saw Benfield end up falling back into fifth.
Yeah, I don't know what I was doing so much different. I guess it's just the slow and steady. I'm trying to make qualifying laps every corner.
Well, I'm kind of hearing that they call you the tire whisperer. Is that true?
Yeah, so I think that's become my nickname in this group of guys here. I always have more tire left than everybody else.
I'm good at taking tires away.
When I first started practicing this thing tonight, I thought I was going to be bad because I blistered the right front the first run. But after that, I don't know, I just put it off a little bit for the race and just worked on being steady, and it worked out.
Yeah, my right sides, they don't quite get along with me. I wear them out pretty quick, both front and rear.
Yeah, they go quick.
Yeah, they do on asphalt. I'm more of a dirt racer. It don't quite matter as much. But congrats there for getting the victory. You got sponsors and shout-outs you want to give here for helping you get up there in the victory lane here tonight?
Just the wife and kids for letting me sit down and do it.
All right, well, congrats on victory lane, and we'll see you in future races here at FMA, I'm sure.
Yes, sir.
All righty, congrats on the victory.
Thank you.
All right, there we go with the win tonight. While being Austin Hahn. Great race. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it. And we'll see you tomorrow night for our Thursday night doubleheader. Or not doubleheader. We're in for an action-packed Thursday with the 358 Big Block Modifieds. Then yours truly will be down on track running the late models. So come join us here at Fligger Farm TV to see that on the pole tomorrow night. And if you want to see the Pro Late Model race, we do not broadcast that here. We broadcast that over on Coast to Coast Racing Network. So be sure to check that out if you're wanting to see the full Thursday night show. Otherwise, if you're just interested in the 358 and the big blocks, we'll be glad to have you watch here at Fleeger Farm TV. Thank you so much